Hey everyone, David C. Anderson here coming at you from the Knife Center, and today we're taking a look at the best CRKT pocket knives that you can get your hands on right now in 2020. Let's check them out. So the success of CRKT is always hinged on their ability to bring knives from big name knife designers to a mass market with some affordable prices. Now obviously they're not the only company that does this, but for them, they've really made their name with that strategy. Now the first knife on our list today is the M40, which is a design by Kit Carson, who is really intrinsically linked to the success of CRKT as a company. And this M40 channels the legacy of the M16, which was the knife that really helped kick off the flipper craze back in the day. This kind of updated or reimagined take on that M16 design now comes with CRKT's new Deadbolt lock, which has been spreading across their lineup because of the strength it offers as well as the ease of use. Now the button to actuate the lock is actually part of the pivot itself, and when I turn the knife over, you can see this bar on the back. Now essentially this is kind of a U-shaped arrangement that runs through the tang of the knife. When you push that button down, two little prongs pull out of the tang of the knife and it allows you to close it. In a way, it kind of feels like the deadbolt on a door, which is why they gave it the name that they did. Except with 2 points of contact on the tang of that knife, it feels exceptionally strong. But despite that strength, it is still, like I said, very easy to operate with a simple push of that button right there. And you can even flip it closed when it's broken in. And then just a little bit of extra safety inherent to a design like this. Since your fingers stay out of the path of the edge when it's closing, it's that much safer. Plus the lock looks really good when it's anchored in this aluminum bolster as well. And we've got some glass reinforced nylon flanking it that actually does a fairly good job of mimicking some carbon fiber vibes. As for the rest of the knife, we've got IKBS ball bearings in the pivot, which give us some really good flipping action. The steel they use is a 1.4116, which gives us some decent toughness as well as some easy maintenance. There's 3 sizes of this knife right now, with prices ranging from about $110 to $120. Now you can get this in a 3-inch Tonto or in a 3.5-inch spear point blade, and both of those come with plain edges. We also got this version right here with a 4-inch spear point blade, as well as a partial serrated edge with VEF serrations. It's something you only really see CRKT doing, and the serrations are essentially angled backward for more aggressive sawing of material. Plus the blade shape like that is just combat ready with a nice hollow grind, and a full deep swedge keeps the tip nice and acute, and it also helps it to move through softer materials. All right, next up we've got everyone's favorite affordable gentleman's knife, the CEO from the mind of Richard Rogers, very affordable at about 40 bucks. One of the nicest things about this knife is when it's closed up, you've got a real nice pencil-like profile when you put it in your pocket, and the blade itself is completely hidden. Plus the glass reinforced nylon handles on this knife, just like on the M40, feel higher end than the materials would suggest thanks to the texture that they put on there. Now this is not a flipper, but this knife still manages to have some really excellent opening action. You've got IKBS bearings in the pivot, and the thumb stud itself is in just the right place for the perfect application of pressure. The blade pops right open and that liner lock holds it open. Now there's actually a bit of Quaken style DNA with this straight back blade design, and that becomes especially apparent on the new bamboo version. It's not actually a bamboo handle, it's just a bright yellow GFN that's ridged to mimic a bamboo look. It creates a nice set of grips for your fingers in the process actually. Now the steel itself is 8CR series stainless steel. It's simple but effective, and it got a nice narrow profile that in conjunction with the swedge allows the CEO to make some very precise cuts, especially when you're going around tight curves. Now one of the things that CRKT has been paying attention to especially a lot with their newer designs are the pocket clips. Now this one is a right side tip down only design, but it's deep carry, and from the side you can see a few things they do to keep from anything snagging on your pocket when you're putting it back there. For one thing, you've got some flush screw heads, as well as a ramp right in front of the clip itself to guide the fabric right over there and make sure nothing gets hung up. And it's little small details like this that really help push this knife over the top, especially when you consider, again, this is just a $40 knife. All right, next up we've got another great executive knife, similarly slim as that CEO, is the Crossbones flipper, which was designed by Jeff Park, who's actually a protege of the very prolific Ken Onion, who we're going to see a little bit from him later on too. Now the handles on this knife are definitely more premium than on the CEO. We've got a two-tone aluminum handle, and these new bronze coloration that just came out this year looks insanely good. We've got a liner lock on this knife as well, but to keep things even classier, it's actually inset, so you don't see as much of that liner popping out when it's closed, or open for that matter. It comes together to create a feeling that's definitely more premium than its price would suggest. They run from about $70 to $75 for the standard versions. Now the flipping action on these knives is backed up again by IKBS bearings, but you've got that flipper instead of the thumb studs, so it pops open very nicely. And you've got a trailing point profile with a full flat grind made from 8CR steel. It's got a good slicing shape and an elegant look. But both of these last two knives are really good classy folders without breaking the bank. They look good with a suit, they're going to be great for opening letters or packages, and the Crossbones especially is going to make a great gentleman's steak knife. All right, it's almost impossible not to talk about these next two knives together. We've got a pair of frame locking, non-flipping folders that were both released this year with similar specs and color schemes, even though they come from different designers. We've got the Overland up here on top from TJ Schwartz coming in at the $55 mark, and the Tuna from Lucas Burnley here at the bottom for about $45. Now the Tuna has a great shape for all-around EDC with a hollow ground drop point blade with a lot of strength because of its broad profile. But despite that width to the profile, it manages to maintain a very acute point so that you can pull off some fine detail work with the tip as well, since you don't have a lot of belly to get in the way. Now the Overland is still a great EDC shape, but it's maybe a little bit more specialized. We've got a flat ground modified sheep's foot profile with a bit of an offset to the handle that's going to give you a little bit of knuckle clearance when you're working on a surface or a cutting board. It's still a pretty versatile shape though, since the canted handle also means that the tip is going to be raised up a little bit when you hold it in a standard grip, so it's kind of almost the best of both worlds between a sheep's foot and a drop point. But tying these two knives together, you've got black stonewashed 8CR steel for the blades, green G10 handles with some accenting pivot collars and back spacers. We've got orange on the Overland and bronze on the Tuna. They've also got black stonewashed frames, and again, there was some special attention paid to the pocket clips. Now each of them is folded back over onto themselves, and to keep your pockets from snagging on these knives, for one thing, you've got the smooth metal of the frame, but also the pocket clip is inset into a milled recess so that it sits flush with the frame as well, and then the screws themselves are also flush with the clip. Finally, my favorite thing on both of these knives is the balance. They've managed to keep these so that the balance point sits right around where your index finger would be gripping the knife. And that means that you're not really fighting the balance of these blades. They just want to move with you and feel very agile as a result. Another 2020 release to make the list this year is the BT Fighter series from Tighe. Now I love the compact version with its 3-inch blade, which comes in about $45, but it's only a real short jump to even more capability, just $50 for the 3.64-inch Tonto version. Now each one of these knives combines an IKBS backed flipper with a strong button lock mechanism, and they've dialed them in pretty perfectly. It's got some of the most satisfying action in the sub $50 price range, both on deployment and the lock disengagement. The action is just so addicting, you can really do this all day and not get bored with it. It doesn't get much more fidget friendly than this, but it's not just for fun. The lock itself actually provides a good deal of strength as well to go along with the ease of operation. I love the cutting profile of this blade. It's flat ground from 8CR, and it comes with a nicely done stone-washed finish. And the scratches as you use the knife are going to blend in a little bit better on this type of finish than it would on a satin blade. Plus, it's just a really good looking finish on its own. I've always thought it really looked good with carbon fiber on the handles as well. We don't get that here. These are just GFN, but the texture on there does mimic the carbon fiber a little bit, just like we saw on the M40. What we do get though is a nice avant-garde shape that still manages to be pretty stylish. Now the reason I love this knife and the reason I put it on this list is, for one, it's not often you see a button lock at this price range, and it's also not too often that you see a pocket clip like this one. Rather than a simple folded metal clip, you've got a metal clip that's raised on a couple of standoffs, and then you've got a nice ball bearing here at the tip for retention. Really cool. And it's that combination of style and capability that really earns its spot today. Next up is a Jesper Voxnaes design, the Pilar, which is available in 2 sizes, but I'm particularly fond of this larger version here. You got this nice sheep's foot style of cleaver blade on this knife. It's been incredibly popular. It's still kind of refined, but it offers a different kind of style than something like the CEO. Like I said, refined, but it feels, I don't know, a little bit more industrial. Now the smaller versions have about a 2.4-inch blade, and those open with just the thumb cutout on the blade itself, but the larger ones with a 2.7-inch blade add a flipper for deployment as well. The larger sizes in the range even offer a D2 steel option for a longer lasting edge than these 8CR versions. But no matter which steel you go for, in a blade like this with some pretty decent thickness and a high flat grind, it's going to offer some very powerful cuts despite the small size. That's partly due to that blade geometry, but also the secure feeling of the frame lock and the finger choil here that allows for a full grip when the knife is open, despite folding up to a relatively small footprint when you put it in your pocket. Now the handle options include G10 for more traction, copper for more style, or the stainless steel you see here for a more neutral look. And these versions are especially great platforms for modders or folks who like to customize their knives. You could etch it, engrave it, or do whatever you want with it, and you can truly make this knife your own. All right, now we're going to get to a couple of CRKT's more out there mechanisms, which are things that may seem a little bit like party tricks at first, but they've proven to be quite well thought out and very useful when you dig into it. And the first is Fieldstrip, which allows you to take the knife apart and put it back together with no tools. Now you can get this on a few different knives across their lineup, but I still think that the best model with this mechanism is the design that introduced it, which is the Homefront by Onion. This consists of two different parts. You've got a thumb wheel here at the back and a switch at the pivot, and that lets you take it apart in just a few seconds into just 3 pieces. Now, like I said before, it might seem a little bit like a novelty, but this can actually be really useful when it comes to cleaning out the insides of the knife, whether just for routine maintenance or for quick rinses in the field, whether you're hunting or camping or something like that. Now, the most impressive thing to me is every time I've taken one of these apart and put them back together, when it comes back, the centering is still perfect and the flipping action is still just superbly crisp as it was beforehand every single time. And if you've ever taken apart a conventionally screwed together knife, you know that it can sometimes take a little bit of tweaking to get everything perfectly lined up and centered when it comes to the reassembly. So the fact that this knife can do that very quickly and very repeatably every time, I've always found, like I said, to be very impressive. Now there are versions with synthetic handles that come in about $64, but this aluminum version is definitely the best of the lineup, comes in at about $96 right now. The handles look very cool, I think. You've got kind of a World War II inspired style, both with the green coloration as well as the star on the pivot. You've also got a nice deep carry pocket clip as well to help keep it out of sight until you need it. Now for the blade itself, we've got an ever so slight recurve to the drop point profile, and we've got AUS-8 steel and a hollow grind. It even has a nice premium feeling touch with a horizontal satin finish, which is something more common to custom knives rather than production pieces like this. Now you've got a good versatile shape for EDC as well as stuff like hunting or other outdoor pursuits. And it's pretty cool the way they pull that off. The angle to the edge of the blade right at the back lets the belly drop down a little bit lower before coming up to meet the point. This allows them to combine really a lot of belly for slicing or skinning while keeping the point low enough along the axis of the knife to still be very usable. Now my last pick may be a little bit controversial, but I stand behind it because it shows CRKT's willingness to take a chance on something new, and taking that chance really paid off with the Provoke by Caswell, which is an innovative take on the folding karambit with what they call kinematic opening action. Basically, you've got 2 swinging arms that push the blade forward into that open position rather than rotating a blade around the axis of a single pivot point. Now, this type of design solves one potential weak point in other folding karambits. Because of the way it opens, it's pretty much impossible for the knife to close on your fingers if the lock were to become disengaged in the heat of the moment. Speaking of the lock, if you haven't encountered this before, it might be a little difficult to figure out. There's actually a small tab here that you pull back towards the spine with your finger in order to unlock. Usually it takes 2 hands, but if you do get used to it, you can kind of get it done with 1 hand with a little practice. Now the other thing this kinematic action does is it provides really fast deployment. You just put your index finger through the ring so you're ready for your reverse grip, and your thumb is already in the right place. You just push on the arm, rockets the blade out, and it's ready for you to grip. It's definitely a very fast method of deployment, and it gets even better. If you pocket carry this knife using the slimline clip right here, you can also use that thumb spot as a pocket deployer. You can catch that spot on the arm on the hem of your pocket, and it'll open the blade as you draw for even more speed. Now the hawkbill profile on the blade is certainly intimidating, but it's also not so aggressive that you can't also use it for some general utility. You've got D2 steel for some pretty solid edge retention, and a single primary bevel that's flat on the backside. Now some folks really like the way this type of grind cuts, but they mostly do it here so that they can keep the sharpened edge hugging in close to the frame when the knife is closed. Now there's a few different colors available, and also a serrated blade option with some of those VEF serrations, and those are all priced around 200 bucks. There's also a bolt-around sheath that's available separately for about 35 bucks, but if you're gonna get any, I recommend you get the first responder version that I'm holding here. Now priced at $225, this version includes the sheath, so you've already saved a little bit of money, and this is also the only version to come with a ceramic glass breaker on the end. And extra utility is always appreciated, especially when it's essentially free. And that's it for my list today of the best CRKT pocket knives you can get in 2020. Love to know what you thought of my picks. Now I should mention I left out any of the special editions out there that they've produced, such as the Italian-made versions of the Homefront or the Crossbones. Just kept it to the regular production items. If you want to get your hands on any of these knives, we will leave links in the description to take you over to KnifeCenter.com. And while you're over there, make sure you sign up for our Knife Rewards program, because if you're going to put down your hard-earned money on one of these knives, you might as well earn some free money to spend on your next one. I'm David C. Anderson from the Knife Center, signing off. See you next time.